Welcome to Chop It Up for the first Tuesday of May 2022. This year, as always, is going by really quick, but it means we're getting to Christmas a little sooner. Yeah. That way, Tori can put his tree back up and keep it up for another 6 months. My name is Kevin, host of the podcast.
3 months. Get it right.
Let the guys introduce themselves, and we're going to jump into it.
3 months. It came down before March 1st. It came down barely. You're not wrong. Barely. Hey, and I'm not too ashamed to say there may be a couple of decorations still laying around somewhere I ain't put in the garage yet.
I believe that.
I'm tired, man. Anyway, so yes. Tari Watkins, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You know what? Tomorrow is an amazing day, fellas. I just want to wish everybody out there. Y'all know who you are. You know who my peeps are. May the 4th be with every single one of you all. That's right. Tomorrow's the day. Yep. First nerds to shine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
That has got to be the nerdiest holiday.
I don't know which one is nerdier, May the 4th or March to 14th. I don't know which one is nerdier because I always forget about Pie Day. I forget about that one all the time. Lord. Oh yeah,
yes.
And I see all these posts. I'm having pie. I'm like, why today? Oh, good grief. Okay.
Yeah.
3:40.
That wins. That wins.
Thank you.
That wins.
Yeah. That one.
I'm a Star Wars fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Star Wars fan, but yeah, that is nerdy.
That one wins. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
May the 4th be with you. Anyway, this is Darian.
Why you say we don't? Hey, bro, we don't sound like that, bro.
Right.
We don't sound like that. What's wrong with you?
A lot of trouble in his voice at first.
May the 4th.
Get that testosterone level straight, bro. What's wrong with you, man?
Don't forget the lisp.
Oh wow! Now you're gonna talk about speech impediments now? Is that what we're doing? We're talking about people's ailments.
Darian Lewis, right now? Tulsa, Oklahoma. I have no idea where my brother is taking this. I'm just, I'm just enjoying all that this culture has to offer. Yes.
Listen, don't make me forward this to Mike Tyson and tell him that you're making fun of him.
Listen,
because you saw what he did to old boy on the airplane. So
I don't want to be in the same state as Mike Tyson, much less on the same airplane.
Why do you pick a fight with this dude? Come on, man.
He's beyond drunk.
I don't care how old Mike Tyson is. I'm not fighting him.
Mm-mm. And if you'll notice the way, he literally leveraged.
Bro,
like I'm finna wail on this dude for a minute. I'm like, y'all gonna have to literally pull me off of this dude.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why?
And just whack. Thank you for the practice. Whack.
Yep.
Next sparring partner. Who next?
Anyone else needed to speak to me? Yeah. Anybody else got anything to say to me today?
Mm-mm.
There are.
I got 10 on Mike.
There are stupid things to do, and then there are really dumb things to do. Irritating Mike.
I hope he was drunk. I really do hope he was drunk and not sane.
Yeah,
he was. He was drunk.
I mean, I'll put it like this: I talk trash about LeBron to LeBron's face. He might dunk on me, but I don't care. Okay.
It just flew out of your mouth.
I just lost my mint.
I just saw projectile.
I wasn't expecting him to say he may dunk on me, because that's what he does.
That's what he does. I might walk up to Kevin Durant and ask him to brush his hair for me.
No, brush, not comb, because one of them things gonna pop off and hit you in the eye, bro.
Listen,
So give him a brush, not a comb.
that's what I said. Brush. I thought I
Yes.
said brush. Yeah, I brush.
Hey, Darren, you need one, bro?
You know,
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
I'd even walk up to Westbrook and call him West Brick. I mean, these are things I would do.
Westbrook a little crazy though, bro. He a little cray.
Yeah, but he ain't Mike Tyson.
He's not Mike Tyson crazy.
No, he's not.
Right?
Mike Tyson. No.
Yeah, I mean, because if Westbrook beats me, he beats me.
Would you go up to
Gotcha.
Oakley?
Ooh.
Real question.
Oakley now.
Okay, wait a minute. He thought about that way too long, so the answer is no. I'm not going up to Oakley.
Because
You said Oakley now versus Oakley.
Oakley now, because Oakley's still. I think Oakley's still a little touched in his head.
Oh, absolutely. That don't just go away.
Do you
Right.
ever become untouched though? I
Well,
mean,
you become more touched, a la Pippen, but
Right.
you know, Pippen looking like. Did you see what was it?
but we started early today.
What was it? The Uncle Drew movie, right?
I did not see Uncle Drew. No.
Okay. Well, in the movie, Nate Robinson had like wild hair, playing an old guy.
Is that Pippen now?
That's Pippen now. Pippen hair is just like, I don't care. I woke up like this.
Well, for some reason, somehow, that has become a style.
It has been.
But
For the
on-
right,
Yeah.
for
on
the right
Pippen, though.
age, though.
The right. I was about to say, but the right demographic is who can
Right.
pull that off.
Right.
I mean, so yeah,
We excuse youth
yes, we do.
That's
as
expression.
expressiveness.
A grown old man.
But when you
Bro, what's wrong with
combine
you?
that with everything that Pippen has been saying, and now he went from, keeping it nice, tight, what have you, to that
Yeah.
medication. Medication. So getting back to my original thing, I'd say all those things, do all those things, but I would not mess with Mike Tyson.
No,
I don't care. I wouldn't mess with Mike Tyson sitting in my house and he's in New York.
no,
Dude,
not even close.
I guess people forget there are fighters who will not fight Mike Tyson now.
Right.
Like he's literally had exhibition fights canceled because they're like, you know what? Nah.
You know why?
'cause
They
if you
saw the
see the-
footage.
Yeah, of him sparring,
They saw the footage.
of him just playing around,
I'm
basically.
just
Yeah.
dude's punching cinder blocks,
Yeah.
man. I mean, just it's going. Nah, bro. I'm not getting in the ring with that.
Yeah.
And on an airplane, where am I going to run?
Right.
Where am I going?
Yeah.
I
like
can't go anywhere.
like if you hope an air marshal is on that flight, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? Shoot the man? What's he gonna do? He's like, dude, whenever you get tired, let me know. Whenever you're
Guess what?
tired, let me know.
He's not getting in the middle of it.
No.
It takes one stray to dislocate my cerebellum from the base of my skull. I'm not doing that, bro. Put me to sleep forever. I'm not doing that.
Man, the video, because literally the video sees the dude.
Yep.
Mr. Tyson, I'm sorry, Mr. Tyson. My bad, bro. You know what? My bad.
The person sitting next to him though was like,
What, Darian? What would you do? You would do the same thing. I'd be like, "Yo, dude is getting knocked out." Yes.
Listen.
that was hilarious. I was like, dang, God. I'm like, ooh.
But like,
It's like a Rocky fight, bro. Him
I'd be
fighting
able to be
Clever
like,
Lang.
Father,
Just-
Father, send your spirit of peace right now into this plane.
Intercession.
That's what
Everyone-
that's what I do. I mean,
Everyone
listen,
put your hands this way. Put your hands toward our brother.
this is when you need that group of people that were on the plane singing praise and worship unwarranted. This is when you need them to just start busting out in "How Great Is Our God" or something
Oh
like
man,
that.
just something.
Try and
Just
shift the
something.
atmosphere.
Just something. Just anything. Like, please get this guy off me.
Start singing every praise, something to help the kid out in the back of the car.
Something.
Every praise. I mean, something. Help the kid.
Something.
Got to help somebody. Hey,
Something. Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough one.
So, all right, and so we started off talking about May the 4th and Pi Day. We recently had 420, which some people celebrate for whatever
420?
reason. Yeah, okay. But there's a holiday coming up that I think we want to talk about and discuss. And I want to thank one of our faithful listeners, Morris, who sent the information, was like, can y'all please talk about this?
Oh, we gonna talk about it.
So I want to talk about, we're going to title this the Raisin and Almond Potato Salad
You
Edition.
stupid. Where's that petty meter at? Bro,
it's
you
on
wrong
order
for that one, bro.
It's on order. It's on order.
You wrong for that.
We're going to talk about Juneteenth, the Raisin and Almond Potato Salad Edition.
Wow. He put almonds in it also.
Hey.
Not just raisins, but almonds.
Listen,
There's no paprika in this. There is no seasoning salt in this. Listen.
Hey, I will say this, though. There's a whole lot of folks that don't look like us that would be pissed if there was raisin and almonds and potato salad. I'm just saying. There's a whole lot of them that don't look like us, and they would be pissed.
Well,
They'd be like, "Who brought this? Don't invite them back. This is not happening."
Well, speaking of things that don't need to be invited, so the story goes.
Not invited.
The story goes that in, I think it's Alabama,
Arkansas.
I'm sorry, same difference. All right, so yeah, they just went 2 states out of it. It's okay.
oh, Ooh, he said same difference.
I mean,
Am I lying?
I didn't say you were wrong. I just laughed.
So in Arkansas, there was a flyer that has gone around about a Juneteenth celebration coming up. And if you remember Juneteenth, and some people are finding out about Juneteenth. Some of us have known about Juneteenth for several years, but it's really come into the forefront lately in the last, 2 to 3 years, as far as widespread understanding of what Juneteenth is. Okay. But Juneteenth is essentially the holiday, the day that we celebrate the fact that when the last slaves, if you will, received word of emancipation, well after the Emancipation Proclamation had been delivered, when I think it was Texas that they got the information that slavery was done. Okay. So it is for some people, they recognize it as it is the for people of color, for Black people, it is the equivalent of the 4th of July, simply because it celebrates freedom, celebrates liberation, all of those things. But it is definitely a holiday that is centered around Black people. I won't even say people of color, Black people, descendants of slaves, right?
Right.
So why did the flyer have nothing but people that lack, or excuse me, are
melanin,
deficient in melanin? Everybody has some melanin, but they are lacking the higher levels of melanin, if you will.
So, no, go ahead, Kev. I'm sorry.
White people, yes. It was devoid of people of color. It was not even being put on by people of color.
It was not.
Yes, Morris. It was all vanilla. It wasn't even Neapolitan. It wasn't even fudge swirl.
It wouldn't even Breyer's vanilla bean with the little black specks in it.
Exactly. It was
straight Highland ice cream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, technically, that's not true.
You mean the flyer or you mean the event?
Well, both.
The event, no. The flyer, yes.
Well, no. If you looked at the flyer, you'll actually see several Black organizations.
Right, but we're not talking about the organizations. We're talking about the profile pics.
And now, that's the thing. The articles basically said that the organizations were like, who? What? We what?
Right.
What?
So they basically pulled the organizations and said they're co-sponsoring this, and the organizations were like, no, we ain't.
Well, doesn't that fall?
I didn't know.
No, I did not know that. That I didn't know. I knew that.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah. Well, so who does that fall on? Does that fall on the committee, or does that fall on the sponsor, the dude that played football for Arkansas, the African American guy who was supposed to be the quote unquote sponsor of this Juneteenth?
Yeah.
Does that fall on him, or does that fall on his committee?
That falls on his committee.
Okay.
You can't be, and I get it. I honestly, all of them get the blame. At the end of the day, if you're going to be the leader, the buck stops with you.
Of course,
You know. But the challenge with that is you can't have your hand in everything.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. So, if you've got a steering committee, if you've got a promotions committee, if you've got a sponsorship committee, if you got different people that you've pulled together to pull these things off, and then they bring you a list of folks, to knowing that if you see these certain organizations, you're going to be like, yes, yes,
right.
Then boom, and then all you got to do is snatch their logo off their website. It's very easy. That type of stuff is very easy to do. I did not know that. I thought, and so it did. Yeah, it does. It did exactly what it's supposed to do: give the appearance of
right
co-sponsorship, and it wasn't there.
In the article, it says the Arkansas Juneteenth Unity Foundation distanced itself from the leaked poster, taking to Facebook to clarify that they were not the hosts. The Urban League, listed on the proof or on the thing as well, wasn't far behind. They said, please read. This is on their Twitter. The Urban League of the state of Arkansas is and was not involved in any aspect of this program. We are concerned of the appearance of participation without our approval.
So here's my question. After when I was reading that article, and again, it may be that I was reading it wrong. From the way I read it, that this wasn't a final draft. This was a draft that was actually leaked out to the public, and nobody had actually agreed to it yet. So first of all, you got somebody in your camp that leaked something out.
Straight salt. Wait, first of all, straight salty.
What? Okay. Yes. Somebody got pissed off. They're like, "Oh, you're not going to take my suggestion? Here we go. Look what they were going to do, people." So you got other issues. So that I can still look at, step back, look at the big picture. That this wasn't a final draft. This was very well could be somebody that was just pissed. So and I get that, but we just don't know. We have no idea yet.
The problem is most people are not going to dig that deep.
Of course they're not. It's already happened. I've already seen 6 posts. Can you believe this is what they're going to do for Juneteenth? I'm like, okay, y'all, can you please just read the article first before you start blasting stuff? No. That makes too much sense, right?
Not even just too much sense. That's the society that we live in.
I agree. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
But
here we go. What's up?
Somebody spent time, effort, and energy to put together, you want to call it a proof or not. Typically, when you do a proof, you're submitting it for final approval. You don't just do a proof and then throw it all away and say, oh, we were just playing around. So the fact that on this flyer, you have no one that is the target demographic, no one that is the impacted demographic for this holiday. That'd be like Farrakhan and Malcolm X's children being on the flyer for Holocaust memorial service.
Right. No, I get that 100%. But there is also the possibility that somebody did this because they were salty. I mean, we can't overlook that. I agree with you 100%, Gav, that if somebody was truly submitting this, okay, then you've got other things to worry about because you're not thinking correctly. But it very well could have been somebody that, quote unquote, leaked it. We talked about this before the broadcast even started. What is anything ever an accidental leak? So what if somebody was disgruntled? What if somebody was pissed and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm not a vital part of this. Let me go and leak this thing out here that this is what it was really going to be, and let's go and put a kibosh on it all. We don't know if that was the reason either. Now, your scenario can very well be true, but it may not be the only option.
Yeah, well, man, there's so many layers. Just even on the surface, there's so many layers that we'll probably never get the full real truth. Because I'm looking even at the flyer right now where it's saying celebrating unity, Arkansas. Celebrating Juneteenth unity. So the idea, now I will say that I'm gonna play devil's advocate for 2 seconds.
Go for it.
One of the things that I was having this conversation with a friend at breakfast Saturday. I said, at some point, we as Black people are gonna have to make up our minds: do we want equality or do we want to be special? Because you can't have both.
Right.
So if you're gonna have equality, then at some point you're gonna have to realize people that are not of color are going to take advantage of the things that have been traditionally of color. They're going to do it. This is what happens in this country. And
Right.
we lose our specialness, our individuality as a culture if we want equality. Now, if we want that special treatment, then we need to circle the wagons as a culture, because the Asians don't ask for anything special. For equality, the Mexicans are not asking for. No one is raising up the banner of equality like we are now. With that said, I do understand. They circle their wagons. Our wagons continually get broken. Our wagons have been burned down.
That's true. Yeah.
Our wagons have been put underwater. I get it. Every time we circle the wagons, they come for our wagons. I get it.
Every single time.
Every single time. But in this day and age, we got to make up our mind we got to make up our mind as a culture, which way are we going to go? Because I promise you, this is not going to be the last time matter of fact, you're going to probably see this a few more times next year, just as a result of now a national holiday. They're going to take advantage. They're just going to do it. They're just going to do it.
Oh yeah.
So get ready.
It's the law of capitalism, man. If you see something, hey,
if you see something that can make money,
how much money can we make from this? I mean, we already know this.
That's the law of colonialism.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I said it.
One of the things that I can't stand and absolutely love about Kevin, you can rant and rave for 5 minutes, and then Kevin will say 3 words. And
on this one, he said 1, and we're like,
oh, okay, all right.
Well,
Well, that's that. Well, yeah, there's that.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a lot wider issue then, because then we're talking about how do we want equality, or do we want and okay, so here's the thing. Did we mess up when we demanded togetherness and equal? Because separate and equal,
we've talked about that before.
I don't. I think the challenge is, again, back to the fact that even when we did, maybe not necessarily overtly request, to be separated. I don't even like using that term, but to be separated. Even when with Jim Crow and all of those laws that were separating us anyway, we took that and said, fine, deuces, and tried to do our own thing. And that's what I meant by, and every time we did that, our wagons we circled our wagons, we created our own economy, we created our own culture, we did, and we thrived, and that was a problem. Right. And so it was like, at this point, we're still stuck at that question, like, okay, where do we go from here? Because the population is only growing. Our ability to create an economy, the power of that is only growing, but it's also becoming more interwoven with the general economic powers that be, because they love what we bring to the table. They've always loved what we bring to the table. They're never going to not love what we bring to the table. And I think that's part of the challenge. It's like, you guys keep producing something that we can literally spin worldwide.
Yeah, that we can market.
Yeah, not just locally. We can literally throw this around the planet,
right? And
it's gonna sell. And you keep doing it every generation. You keep doing it. Mm-hmm. So well, I just believe we're at that crossroads. We're either gonna have to dive in and be okay with, because I haven't heard anybody complain about Cinco de Mayo. Not one of my Hispanic friends has ever said anything about about all these people taking advantage of Cinco de Mayo. Not that Cinco de Mayo is even that big of, and most people don't even know what Cinco de Mayo actually represents.
No idea what it is. Right.
But again, to play devil's advocate, Cinco de Mayo, yes, there is the accessing of it, or the annexation of it, if you will. Of it as a holiday, right?
I love his words.
Strategic.
There's the annexation of
intentional.
It as we're going, we celebrate by going out, having margaritas, what have you, right? But do we see a Cinco de Mayo celebration with the whitest of the white GOP leaders?
Well, and we have yet to see one yet for Juneteenth. I get where you're going, but we have yet to see it for Juneteenth, and nor do we know if this was really a real thing on this flyer. We still
Oh no,
don't know that
person.
yet.
Well, the person did say that his whole focus was unity. He didn't deny that
You mean
those
the Arkansas, the former player from
yeah, the former
Arkansas?
player for the who's
Right, but that has
running
nothing to do with the flyer that was put out. That doesn't mean that that was the real flyer. We don't know if that
no,
was.
but his organization was putting on is on.
Yes, I
Right.
agree with that.
So
Yeah,
he at least has some insight to, because here's the thing: if you were saying, "Oh, that has those people were never involved in it," that'd be one story.
right.
But to say, "Well, this is just a proof we were still working through some things," that means that at some point, that seems to be that those people were being discussed. I mean, here's how you deny something makes a lot of difference, right?
It is, and also how he puts a spin on it to try to smooth over as many parties, or excuse me, try to appease as many parties as he can. That's probably what he did. He didn't want to piss off either side. I can see him being very political with his answer. I'm not saying I agree with it, but yeah, we know how this stuff works,
He's
man.
running. He's running for office. And
That's my point.
His demographic is not Juneteenth.
No, it's
Let's
not.
just be honest. His
No, it's not.
demographic were the people that he had on the flyer for Juneteenth.
Well, and that speaks to what my statement just was, trying to please people and not piss them off. So yeah, of course that's what his answer is going to be, because he's trying to be a politician. Do we expect a straightforward answer from him? Of course we don't. I don't, at least, because what politician has really given us a straightforward answer? Whether you believe in their values or not, nobody's going to give a straightforward answer, because they don't want to alienate a certain group of people.
I just know Biden better come through with this student loan forgiveness.
Have you noticed that for the last three
4, 5, 6. What are you talking about?
he finds a way to slide that up in there.
Hey, I'm with Kev on this one, bro, because yeah, but they were talking about just relieving like 10,000. Yeah, 10,000 is better than none. Nah, I need more than that, bro. I need I need this yoke removed.
Yes.
Man, looking at this flyer, had they just done the representation right, this really could have been a really powerful event.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with that.
Mm-hmm. Even a good mix would have been better than. And I understand, but that is the other thing. Well, we'll get to that another time. We'll get to that a whole another time. That's a whole other topic.
Well, yeah, because
oh, it's there. It's right on the tip of your tongue. You're literally bleeding, brother.
Why are y'all holding stuff back? When have we ever held stuff back?
I'm gonna just ask this.
I'm confused right now.
Why,
Both of you. Why are we holding stuff back? If you guys have to say it.
I'm about to release it. I'm gonna release it.
Well, hurry up then. Go ahead.
Why does unity always seem like it has to come from this side of the melanin? Why is it always we've got to be the ones that are unifying and the ones that are, inviting people to the table as equals? Because when it comes from the other side, it's an invitation to the table oftentimes of, well, we're reaching out, reaching down and up to and pulling you up, as opposed to reaching across to you.
Because that's the way it's been for so long, Kev. I mean, think about civil rights and stuff my mom and dad and my aunt and my uncles went through. Mm-hmm. That's where the unity message came from. So it's never left this side. Now, there have been small pockets of individuals that don't look like us that have done that. Small pockets. I'm not talking about large entities or companies or organizations. There have been small pockets, so I don't want to dismiss them. Absolutely. But yeah, you're right. Coming from a large organization or a large group of people or a large we don't see that. There's still a stigma. We can sugarcoat it all we want to, but there's still a stigma with it. There's still are you sure you want to reach out to them? Are you sure you want to do that? Because how is it going to look for them in the sector that they're in? There's still that there. People, there's businesses that are still dealing with that. Unfortunately, they care more about that than true unity. It's not about the bottom dollar. It's about marketing. It's about, we talked about capitalism. How is this going to affect their bottom line? Is it going to affect their margin? And they know a lot of people out there will change their take their dollar and move it elsewhere if they reach out and do something that way. Unfortunately, it sucks, but it's true.
I believe that conversation, the conversation that you mentioned, Kevin, is not going to change, or at least um, the way it's presented is not going to change until we get in. Going back to what I mentioned, until our proverbial wagons truly get circled, and there
Right.
is a real, legitimate economic power base for the African
Right.
American community. Not
Mhm.
again, this isn't a either or. This isn't a I'm for, and if I'm pro this, I'm anti that. That is not the case. But the reality is, in this country, in order for anything to really be at peace,
Mhm.
unfortunately, you got to have your stick got to be just as big.
Yep.
That's just all that we know.
Right. And right
Yep.
now it's not.
And then
Yep.
right now it's not. And so yeah, it's always gonna be looked at as it has been looked at
Hmm.
as we're reaching down, we're doing you a favor
Right.
by
We're pulling
reaching
you
down
up.
Right.
and pulling you up.
Right.
Right.
But the reality is, okay, even when we pull you up, we're making a deal to use you with what you do bring to the table so that all of us can make money. And the reality is it's still going to be the lion's share is going to someone else
Yes. Yes.
because we can't be responsible for changing that power base. We're not going
Mhm.
to do that.
Yeah.
So until we do that, until somehow, some way that becomes a thing,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's it's always going to be in the back of everyone's minds to do it that way, and we're always going to be the ones with the unity message versus the hand out, hand up
Right.
message.
And let me just say this because I again I try to be balanced. I try. My goal is to be. But there were just kind of even what you were saying, Tori, as far as there are organizations, there are people that in small pockets. My wife and I, we went to. We were invited by a musician who we've used a few times for some of our services. He plays. In fact, we've had him on here, Reg,
Hmm.
the musician we had, and he invited us because he's been traveling around the world doing
Yep.
his music. But he was back at the large church one of the large churches that's here in
Hmm.
Phoenix, and he was like, "Hey, I'm in town. Just come through." So we went through that church last night,
Yeah.
and when I say that their campus is huge is an understatement. But one of the things that he shared, which was like, okay, he shared that because we sat in the service and they didn't mention money at all. There was no offering call. There was no 45-minute teaching on giving tithes and offering.
What?
Um, there was there,
What?
Darian, shut
there was none of that, right? But
Like
he told
seriously?
us, yeah, I know those places exist,
What?
and
Wow.
we were talking with him afterwards, and he was telling us, yeah, he's like, I've only heard the senior pastor mention money like maybe twice a year, and probably the most that he says about it is if you are a giver or partner here, thank you. End of story. But he said that I think it was 2 years ago that especially like I think it was during the pandemic. He said that 2 years ago the senior pastor just one Sunday was like or Saturday whatever day it was like I feel led to take up an offering and whatever we raise is not for us, it's for other churches, and they raised $6.5 million in one service.
And that's why they don't talk about money. It's what's sitting in that building.
And granted, they now have I think 14 campuses around. So I think everything that was raised through all of those services was $6.5 million that they then just distributed as far as helping other
To other
churches with.
ministries, which is
Right.
huge. That is
And
absolutely amazing.
and here's the thing. I don't know. I haven't looked, but I don't know that there's YouTube of it. That there's Instagram of it, that there's all of these things that we've seen maybe from other places that have done something like that.
Right.
They simply just said, "We're going to do this,"
And did it.
and
And
did it,
did it. Yeah.
And did it.
and didn't ask for your approval, your congratulations or anything. They just did it.
Just did it.
Or your participation.
Right.
Give or
Yeah.
don't.
Dude, the same thing happened when we visited Gateway Church down in Texas with Robert Morris, and we went to one of their Saturday services. Yeah, not one mention of tithe is what you need. No, it was it just was.
Hmm.
I mean we've got it backwards. We've had it backwards for a long time.
Yeah.
There, there's also a different sense of ownership. Um, varying with varying cultures, there's just a different sense of ownership when it comes to houses of worship. You also don't see that with you don't see that with mosques.
Hmm.
You don't see that
Mm-mm.
with synagogues. You don't see
Mm-mm.
that. They
You don't see it in Catholic churches.
they literally have a space to give, and
But that's
it's
a whole
just
nother story where
yeah,
their money
it's
comes
just
from.
listen.
Their money covered up stuff. So yeah, we talking
That's
about
a whole
still.
nother
Yeah.
story.
So yeah, but yeah, that's so I don't, we got a ways to go to get there.
Hmm.
Certain cultures, I think, certain pockets and sectors of the church in particular have a ways to get there.
Right.
But to me, it boils back down to a sense of response. Let me not say ownership, responsibility.
Hmm.
This is just what I do as an expression of my faith.
Right.
I don't
Right.
need to be told.
Right.
I don't need
Right.
you to just give me where do I send it is all I need. That's it.
Right.
And I'm going to do what just like I would pay my phone bill, just like I would pay my car note, just like I'm going to do that because that's me being responsible, a responsible adult, me being a responsible believer. This is just what we do,
Yeah.
and no one's going to browbeat me or
Guilt
um,
trip me.
guilt trip me or any of that stuff into
Put
doing something.
starving African children up on the screen and
Because number one, you take away even when if you respond. Here's the jacked up part. If we just gonna jump spiritual for a second, the jacked up part is when they do that, they actually snatch from you the
Mhm.
ability to give with a cheerful heart.
right.
Exactly. You're not
Right.
cheerful at all. You feel guilty.
You are
Well,
completely, yeah, they've
they
completely
feel guilty.
stripped
Right.
the blessing off of that, even if you
Yes.
respond properly,
Because
it is, and so it's
exactly.
just if we do it right, man, you can't help but get more of that.
I agree.
So yeah, I and that's going to take a lot of teaching. It's just going to take a different mindset, a huge paradigm shift for that type of responsibility to come up on a different level.
Yeah, it's gonna
And
it's gonna take it's gonna take a lot of reteaching. It's gonna take a lot of unwashing some brains. I know unwashing is not a word, but you
yeah,
know what I mean, though.
but it's also going to take some credibility.
True.
Because if I got a building fund and you've been giving into that building fund for 20 years
Well,
and the toilet's still jacked up
well.
and the carpet still look like it's got your grandma's spaghetti ground into it, do I really feel comfortable giving at a higher level?
No.
If you say that you're going to do something and it's for a remodel and I don't see a spackle of paint
Anywhere.
anywhere. So it is teaching, it is training, but it is also the credibility factor. If we
Well,
say we're going to do something with the money, then do what you say you was going to do with the money.
right. I don't disagree with that. I'm not saying that the teaching is going to come from those buildings and those
Oh,
ministries that have been doing that. So no, I get that 100%. That's not where it's going to come from. It's going to come from somewhere else.
yeah,
It's going to come
Yeah.
from
Well, it also comes from leaders who are of that same mindset.
exactly
They live that way.
right.
hmm,
Exactly.
They are true leaders in the sense that they give in that manner.
Exactly.
And so yeah, I agree. You should be able to at some point let a new member know this is how this functions.
Right.
I'm trying to remember the church that I was at in Dallas. He was actually on Robert Morris's staff, but I just cannot remember his name right now.
Maydo.
No. And as soon as, trust me, if I showed you a picture, you'd be like, dude, you can remember this guy. Anyway, we visited his church when I was still down in Dallas, and they did the same thing. No opportunity to give, and I was literally like, uh,
Who do I give this to?
so I went to an usher, which or whoever they were, they weren't
Right.
ushers. They were attendance porters, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And I was like, how do we give? They were like, oh, you want to give something?
Like they were shocked.
Like, what? Oh, you want to give? Wait, then they pulled me aside. Now you don't have to.
Oh,
That's what I was like.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't expect that of our guests. That's literally what she said to me. No, we don't expect that of our guests. So you don't have to.
Well,
Like she wanted to know it was because I wanted to do it, not because I felt some type of
Right.
obligation
Right.
that I'm paying a ticket for the show.
That should be expected of any guest at any church, but it's not.
No, it's not.
It's
Again,
not.
at this point, a lot of you hear a lot of pastors almost talk to you like you buy the movie tickets.
Stop it. I have not heard of that. Boy,
You pay for your meal at the end of it, don't you? Bruh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Listen, I've heard it equated to a lot. Yeah, movie theater tickets, dinner.
See, there's a reason why God hasn't put me in a place like that. There's a reason why God has not-
Mortgages.
There's a reason why I have not stepped foot in a church that has said that. Mary Walk.
Would you drop your child off at childcare and you ain't paid the bill? What they gonna do to your
Stop
children?
it. Are you are not being serious right now.
I wish this was tea. I wish this was tea.
See,
Bro. Now here's the thing. There is no depth of the manipulation that people will do when their heart's not right. When
I agree. Yeah, I understand that. I agree with that. Yeah.
Listen, I got Darian, the church that we were at, the organization we were at when we first met. Okay, had a
wink, wink.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
I'll just simply say, not transformation, not Bishop Gary, and
Where we met. Don't try to figure it out.
Don't try to figure it out.
Don't
Just
try to
like
figure it
if
out.
anybody
Just
else
let it
has
go.
watched this and then has to be like, "What are you talking about?" No, I'm not talking about Greenwood. I'm not talking about transformation.
We go way back.
Right. I remember I did a Tarsha and I did a tag team, and we did a message on harvest time, the harvest principle. Okay,
I remember that.
it hit.
Mm-hmm.
People were loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody came to me afterwards, was like, "See, that's when you're supposed to take the offering.
Mm-hmm.
They were there. You supposed to
They
take
were
the
ready.
offering there.
They was
They
chomping
was
at the
ready.
bit.
They was ready to do it."
That is not what the goal.
I'm like, okay, that's.
I remember when y'all told me that. That wasn't the point. That was literally not the point.
Exactly. That is not the point.
So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it was like, oh, that's how we supposed to do that. I've never tried to operate that way. I've never, even with our church right now, we have erred more on the side of, y'all know how to give. Here's our offering confession. We make a confession, and
be
then
responsible.
we move on.
This is because at the end of
God
the day,
has kept our 10-member church, and we
At the
pay our
end of the
bills
day.
all the time on time.
yes, sir. God pays for what He wants done.
You're exactly right.
Now, the question is, are you going to be a part of that vision? Are you going to be a part of that blessing? Is that where you're called to be?
Right.
Are you called to be responsible for that vision? And if so, don't get out of order trying to check the books, and trying to look around. And if you're called to be a part of that vision, then be responsible for it, because that is a ministry in and of itself.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, man, it just can I give my story? I didn't do that. So Kevin, Tori, I was operating as a prophet for many, many years, still do,
Right.
but for many, many years. And during my probably most popular time,
Did you
uh,
almost say heyday?
yeah, yes, just call me out. Why don't you just go ahead and call me out?
My bad. I'm sorry.
Just call me out. Okay, real quick. Let's do it real fast. Anyway, and during that time, during that time, I had a pastor pull me aside and like, brother, you're not doing it right. You literally like, bro, you're not doing it right. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, listen, you got the gift we all wish we had because you can literally stand there and give somebody a prophecy based on what they give, bro. You doing it? You leaving money on the table.
Wow.
Hmm.
The problem, because we've seen us, they saw it became such a practice with people that they respected, and they only respected them because they could go into a church that would look like it was falling apart and still pull out of that church 10 grand,
Yep.
Right.
20 grand out of these people. And I'm like, dude, no,
Right.
Mm-mm.
no, 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 no. And a lot of the pastors, they wanted, and I understood later on, they want you to do, if you have that ability to do that, they want you to do that because they want to make the agreement, let's split it. All
Hmm.
of a sudden it becomes a negotiation, a contract deal. Whatever you raise, we're going to split, we're going to do 60-40, 70-30. How are we going to do this?
This isn't a wage. We're not running. Wow.
Bro, the
Listen,
one of
Wow.
these days, I don't know if we should do this or not. I was gonna say, if we do the behind the scenes conversations?
listen, that might be a great topic because yeah, I mean, we had
We
someone
may wind up giving some folks fuel for their own fire already, why
yeah,
they're not, because we've
yeah.
seen it all. We've
So we
seen
had
it.
we had someone who, and so the way that we operate at our church, we ask you what is your honorarium, right? Let us know what your honorarium is. If you say whatever you can give, we're still going to do what we can
Right.
do, right?
Right.
But if you tell us an amount, if we can hit that amount, if we have that amount where we can pull that from the budget without taking up an offering, we'll do that. If we can't, brother, we love you, we appreciate you, but maybe another time. Because we had one pastor, Darian, you know this person. We had one person who, at one point, gave us one as an honorarium because of our connection. And then we called something happened where we couldn't bring that person in just logistically. Then we reached back out and said, okay, it's now a better time. Da, da, da. And they were like, oh yeah, but now it's. We were like, okay, well, thank you, but bless you. Have a
Yeah,
great
we can't
day.
do that.
We'll see you next time. But we had one pastor who we had said, hey, what is your honorarium? Oh, whatever God says. Cool. And so we took care of him for this event, and then we wanted him to come back and do something else. And then it became like, well, why don't I'll go ahead and take up an offering? No, bro, we don't do second offerings at this church. If it's not in the offering, it's not in the offering. We don't tax the people.
Exactly.
Well, no. I mean, it's in there. I've pastored these people. I know what's in there. I'm
Whether it's
not
in
going
there
to
or not.
right, and I'm not going to have them closing out 401ks. I'm not going to have them
No.
pulling down their retirement. I'm not going to
Writing
have
hot
them
checks.
just to satisfy you and say that you raised X amount of dollars.
Bro, I can't
Now,
I can't be part of this behind the scenes conversation. I'm just letting you know
now,
right now.
You'll be mad.
yeah,
I'm,
you would be mad.
dude,
Now
I'm mad now.
there are situations where, and this is again where you really got to know who you're bringing in, and you got to know their track record.
Right.
And when I say track record, I ain't talking about what they've produced.
Right.
I'm talking about the folks that know them behind
That
the scenes,
know
the
them.
track. Yeah, this is their
Yes.
track
They've
record.
peeked behind the curtain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
On a consistent basis, not just once.
Right.
And so if you can have conversations with those folks, the
Yes.
peripheral,
Yeah.
the relationships, then yeah, you can see the behind the scenes. And there have been, because I've been a part of a giving service where people were closing out 401ks and emptying savings accounts and but the return was literally mind blowing. The testimonies of financial breakthrough that people experienced. I was one. I gave a certain amount. I literally saw a 400% return
Right.
within weeks.
There are
Mhm.
times when it happens.
But
Yes.
you gotta know.
Yes. Yes. I don't disagree with
You
that.
gotta know that this person
Yes.
is anointed to do what they're doing. And the other thing was there was never pressure. It wasn't like if you
Nope.
don't do this, you're gonna miss out.
Well,
No, you're not gonna miss out on anything.
No.
let me also
And
say
that's
this though. It also is tied, in my opinion, with your faith,
it
because
is.
I also know of those that have done that, and then now they're in prison. But mhm.
Please don't
But
tell me I know
because
them.
I think you do, but your faith, God is more. It's your faith that, in many respects, may have opened up, and but they had to deal with the consequences of what they were doing on their end on the other side.
Mm,
Mm,
hmm
gotcha.
hmm
So,
Yeah.
but I think that those as leaders, we have to guard that if there is something that is out of order, out of what have you,
Right. Right.
investigate more, if
Right. Of
nothing else.
course.
And I think that's what you're speaking to, Darren. Even is investigating more, because there
Of
are, I know
course.
we'll talk about this afterwards, but I know there are some things that I'm like, I don't think we vetted that one right. So,
Right.
And the other
and
thing when
God's
you're
still
dealing with
blessed,
right.
but yeah,
And the other thing with that, unfortunately, you can vet all day long. You're dealing with people. They can
hmm
literally
People are
they
flaky
they can shift on you so fast. Like,
in
you
a
know what?
heartbeat.
I think I'm gonna backslide today.
yeah,
I'm going to
I think I'm
backslide
just
today.
gonna, just
hmm
flip all the way out
yeah,
and still take disappointment.
yep,
Yes. So
yes, sir.
yeah, it's all of that is somewhat of a slippery slope, but
It
and
is.
at the end of the day, and I will say this, just kind of bringing it back to the other side,
hmm
God's grace is sufficient for us all,
It is.
uh, them included, the slimies and the creepies and the as well as the upstanders. Seriously,
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the righteous and all of that stuff. The blood of Jesus covers us all.
it does.
Absolutely.
Thank God.
Yep.
God, not
Yes, sir.
God, God.
God. Yeah, thank God for that. And so, anybody that's listening that may be like, yeah, that's right. That's why I don't trust none of y'all.
We
Yeah.
ain't saying that.
No,
No, we're not
no,
saying that at all. We're
because
saying, go ahead.
there was a TikTok that was floating around a week or two ago, where someone had their initial TikTok was, "Where's all the money going? You need to ask questions about where the money is going in your church." And this woman broke it down perfectly. She said, "Okay, let's say that everybody's tithing, everybody's giving. This is how much is coming in annually for the budget. Cool. You got a pastor who needs a salary. You may not think that he does, but typically your pastor typically will have at least a bachelor's, maybe even master's or doctorate level, and so their salary. Also, you need toilet tissue, you need water, you need electricity, you need a place to hold services.
Yes, you do.
You have staff that however large the staff may be, you have equipment. So she began to lay out all these things and say, yeah, it's not like it's for the average church in America, it is not a get rich quick scheme.
Oh no, not even close.
For the average church in America, it is, and for many pastors, and if the statistics also tell us that the majority of pastors are bivocational, which means that they do Sunday service or
Yep,
whatever their services are, and still work at least a part time job, but more than likely a full time
an
job
8 to 5,
in addition to pastoring. So
and a
it
yes,
is not, and so sometimes you see the pastor has a nice car, but that ain't coming from church
He
money.
he earned, yeah, he
he worked for that, man. That don't mean hey,
double worked,
right?
double
Exactly.
So
worked. Because pastoring is a. I don't listen, and I'll have arguments with people, that pastors. I'm like, you guys. No one has a problem with an organization, a business, nonprofit organization, even that brings in a revenue of 10 million, 15 million, 50 million, and you
mhm.
paying that CEO. or that executive director,
Right.
mid to high six figures.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You have no
Right.
issue. That makes sense to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to a pastor running that same level of organization,
Mm-hmm.
We have problems with it.
how dare he take that much money?
Yeah, I had a conversation with some coworkers. This was years ago, and this is before Amy even passed. We were talking about a good 6, 7, 8 years ago, and we were at the lunch, and we, for some reason, we got in a conversation of pastors, and what they make and stuff like that. And of course, the three of them were like, "Yeah, pastors they don't need to make any money." I'm like, "Okay, wait a minute, hold on, time out." And they were even talking about like books and things like that. If somebody writes a book, they shouldn't get any money from that. I'm like, well, I said, okay, hold on. I said, time out. I said, so you've got this individual that went to school, paid for their school, and this is their profession. And if they have words of inspiration that are going to help people, you're telling me that they should not get paid for that when we've got every other profession in this world that if someone does that, they will get compensated. So you mean to tell me if somebody writes a book and this is their book and they get it published and they're selling it, none of those proceeds go to them? I said, I don't understand how that works, everybody. Well,
The
because
publisher get paid.
they're ministers, because
The
they
printer
should
get
take
paid.
money. I said, you tell me where it says that they should not take money. Well, isn't that just the way it works? I'm like, I need you to tell me. You're telling me something that I don't know yet.
You're giving me a truth that I've yet to find out.
I said, tell me where you see that. Tell me where that's written. I said, even tell me in the Bible where it says that. I want you to tell me. I said, you all realize that Judas stole money and people didn't realize it. You do realize that, right? I said, answer that for me. How does that happen?
Of course, Jesus knew. He just didn't say nothing.
I mean, the others didn't. Jesus knew, but the others didn't. They didn't recognize it. I said, that's a lot of bread, brother. That's a lot of cheese. I said, but that's not even the point I'm trying to make. Why is it okay for a doctor to go through schooling, become a professional, become great at his craft, then write a book or do a talk show? But if a pastor does it,
or charge
it's
$300
wrong.
for a pill of Tylenol.
Right? Why is it wrong? And they couldn't tell me. I said, you need to get out of your head that every single person that runs a church or is a pastor or is a minister is crooked. You've got crooked doctors, but guess what? You still go to them. You've got crooked cops, but you still call them. You've got firemen that start fires, but you still call them when you need them. You have lawyers that are crooked. You've got companies that are crooked, but guess what? You still going to them places and buying food from them, aren't you? But why is this individual different? And nobody can answer my question. I said, because it's that stigma that we have.
Exactly, Morris. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
Morris.
Yeah.
The two most stressful, and this is just statistically, the two most stressful jobs on the planet are law enforcement and pastoring.
Pastors. Mm-hmm.
And I had a pastor that did both.
Oh my goodness.
He did
Wow.
both. He was bivocational and did both.
Wow.
So,
Unfortunately, he is no longer with us.
yeah, because I was going to
Amazing man.
Just the mental health aspect of that. So.
Amazing man. Yeah, when he finally retired, he finally retired from law enforcement.
Right.
Yeah, and then pastored full time. But yeah, it was. I would just shake my head like, how?
Wow.
How are you doing both,
I'm not even a pastor and I get stressed.
bro?
I don't even have a flock and I still get stressed.
Bro.
I look at him and say, Steve, I don't know how you do it, bro. This is not my calling. I can tell you that
the
right
way
now.
we
Here's
do-
the thing, Darian, you can even attest to this. The majority of people that are pastors and truly called to leadership in ministry go through several periods, several times a year of, you know what, I'm good. I can walk away from this. I'm good. If I get concerned about the pastors that are like, nope, I'm always going to be good and on. If you never have a question of God, if you want to release me from this,
I'm okay
we
with
good.
that.
Even I'll go one further. God, if you want to keep me in this, you better do something quick. You better do
Right.
something quick.
If
Sending
your
up fleeces.
the
Yeah.
pastor don't resign in his mind at least twice a year,
He ain't working hard.
listen,
Listen,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Listen,
People don't get it, man.
I'm
People don't get
for
it.
me and my wife. There
I
are
know
times
you
where
are.
It's like God.
and because at the end of the day, you're dealing with people on their highest of highs and their lowest of lows.
Yes.
Very rarely are you actually dealing with people in between who are good and stable and set. Even the stable and set ones, man, go through these peaks and valleys where they're needing their pastoral support.
They do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is just not to mention and we know this. Some folks in the audience may have never experienced this, may never experience this, but there's literally a weight that gets set on you
Yes.
when you are up representing God to the
Yes.
people and giving them a word of the Lord.
Yes.
That is the equivalent of an 8-hour workday.
Yes. People don't get that.
Yeah.
And when you're putting that on and taking that off, not taking it off, but you know what I mean? When it lifts and it hits you again and it lifts and it hits you, bro, when you got a life of that.
Yes.
Yeah, folks, we just there's so many dynamics to this, and so many ways that I believe the enemy has really just kind of crept in with just certain statements and comedic and accusations and things that have made this culture at large, have this disdain for ministers and ministry. And the truth of the matter is the vast majority are not crooked.
No, exactly.
The vast majority.
Yeah,
Vast majority
of
are
doctors
good,
aren't
strong,
crooked.
upstanding people.
Yes.
Right.
We can do that with any profession. The vast majority of them are not crooked. You just got some bad apples that's stinking up for the rest of the bunch.
Bro, it's funny to me. Folks like the pastor taking all the money, but you sitting in air conditioning, complaining about the pastor.
Right.
Are you cold during the winter?
The lights are on and you listening to music.
But all right, and so here's the thing, because we're gonna wrap up in just a moment here. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I gotta get another dig in. But even when there are bad doctors, we know who bad doctors are. When there are bad pastors,
It's true.
we know who bad pastors are. But when there are bad police, and that's it for the episode today.
This dude right here, man. This dude right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are contemplating a name change from Chop It Up to Mic Drop.
Mike Tyson's mic drop.
Hey.
One punch and we out.
Okay? Unless we're on a plane, and then you get all the punches.
You get all the punches.
Get all of them.
Good stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Forget snakes on a plane. Tyson on a plane.
But give me snakes in the plane all night long.
Okay.
Tyson?
Man, we went from Juneteenth potato salad all the way to bad cops.
Well, no, we started with Tyson.
We started with Tyson.
Oh, yes, and ended with Tyson.
Full circle. That's what we do here. All right. That's it for this episode of Chop It Up. We, of course, will see you next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.